So this video is going to demonstrate the changes between the NGL demos with the new version of Qt Creator, Qt 5.5, as opposed to the versions we've been using for the last few years. And the main thing is there's been a change in the fact that we now actually have an OpenGLWindow class rather than just the widget class, and we used to have to create our own. So if we look at the projects that I've been using previously, you'll see that each one has an OpenGLWindow.h and an OpenGLWindow.cpp, and these are no longer really needed for the demos. So I'm updating everything. So if you've got old code that you want to update to the new method, this is how to do it. So the first thing I'm going to do is quickly just create a new branch and check out the branch. These there just to make it easier. And I'm going to edit the README file and just put in a note to say that this is an old branch, and I'm just doing this so I can save the work if we ever need to revert back or there are older versions and compatibility issues. So I'm going to commit that. And I'm then going to push that again. Just need to push that to the upstream branch, which is easier just to paste that in. So that's been stored and will be sort of safe for posterity. So now I'm going to check out the master branch, so go back to what we've got. So the first thing I need to do is to remove from the project and from Git the two OpenGL windows. So we use git rm include OpenGL window source OpenGL window. They've been removed. Now I'm going to open up the project in Qt and we'll see all the various bits that we have to change. And to be honest, there's very few changes because the projects have been working along similar lines. The OpenGL window class that I created was very similar. So first thing we'll notice in here is that we've got the NGL scene class, which is the core to most of them. We need to delete OpenGL window there, and we're going to hash include QOpenGLWindow. This has to be included after the NGL stuff, because otherwise we will get some incompatibility issues with OpenGL and Glue, and that one was included before the other. So just include that last and it's fine. And the QOpenGLWindow class now implements several methods which are used as part of OpenGL. So the first one is initialize, which is what we used to call to initialize. We can refactor this now, so go into the refactor and we call it initializeGL. This is the virtual method that will be called when the OpenGL context is created, and then we can do all our initialization. Render is now going to be paintGL. So again, just refactor that and that will become paintGL. Should have said there, we need to inherit from QOpenGLWindow there. That's why these weren't coming up as recognized methods. Now you see they are coming up as recognized methods. And then the only other thing, I've been using the resize event here. Now that's actually been created as part of the QOpenGLWindow. I can delete that, and we're just going to re-implement up here a method. Just copy and paste that, and we're going to call that resizeGL, and that takes in an integer width, integer height, and this method is called upon window resize. We also now in the constructor don't need to pass in the Q window because it's apparent to itself, so we can delete that. And also now we don't need to call the constructor there, so that's just deleted, taken out. The resize event that we had previously here, we can now just call that resize GL and int width, int height there, and we just need to go through. That will only get called if it's exposed because resizing exposes. So we can go in there, pass in the correct parameters now that we've changed them. And before you saw there was a call to render now or render later. This is all now handled by the Qt subwindow. So we make a call to update and that will call it. And again, we should see there's render later there. So again, everywhere we find render later, we can just say update and replace all. That should build quite happily now. Got a few glue warnings there. Oh, undeclare width and height. Oh yes, I forgot to do those two. And that's all rebuilt quite happily. Quite a few warnings and various things. Boost is causing issues at the moment with warnings and various other things. The only other thing I'm changing at the moment is instead of using Darwin there, I'm using Apple because that's the pre-built compiler defined, and I'm upping the level to GL41, which is effectively what it uses anyway. This is more or less ignored by Apple. And once I click off run in terminal, because that seems to have broken since the last update things, you can see now the demo's working and it's fine. So it's a fairly simple if. So now I can just say git commit -am updated to new QGLWindow and upload it to GitHub. I'll be updating all of the demos over the next couple of weeks.